Welcome to G Fun Facts Online, where we uncover the science behind our world. Today we're talking about an invisible threat that surrounds millions of us every single day. It's in the city air we breathe. It plumes from our cars and it rises from factories. We're talking about atmospheric particulate matter, specifically a tiny black powder called soot. For a long time, we've known air pollution is bad for our lungs, causing things like asthma. But what if I told you that recent science is uncovering a much darker connection? A link between these tiny particles, the very cells of our lungs, and the development of a devastating condition, Chronic Obstructive Pulmonary Disease, or COPD. COPD is a progressive disease that makes it harder and harder to breathe, and it's a leading cause of death worldwide. The story of how a single speck of soot can lead to this debilitating condition is a dramatic tale of cellular warfare and a defense system turned against itself. So how does this unseen invasion happen? Our respiratory system is an incredible fortress. Your nose, your airways, they have filters and tiny microscopic hairs called cilia that push pollutants out. But the smallest particles in soot, known as PM2.5, are masters of evasion. They are so minuscule, they can bypass all these defenses and travel deep into the most delicate part of your lungs, the alveoli. These are the tiny air sacs where the magic happens, where oxygen enters your blood. Here, in this inner sanctum, the soot particles meet the first line of defense, immune cells called alveolar macrophages. Think of them as the lung's custodians. Their job is to engulf and destroy any foreign invaders. In a healthy lung, they do this perfectly. But when they face a constant, unrelenting onslaught of soot, this protective system becomes the starting point of a catastrophe. A 2025 study found that these macrophage cells from COPD patients contained more than 3 times the amount of carbon compared to those from smokers who didn't have the disease. So what happens once a macrophage swallows a soot particle? You'd think the threat is neutralized, but it's not. The soot acts like a Trojan horse, unleashing chaos from inside the very cell meant to protect you. First, it triggers what scientists call oxidative stress. Soot particles carry toxic hitchhikers like heavy metals, which cause the cell to produce a flood of unstable molecules. These molecules damage everything they touch inside the cell, including its DNA. Second, the damaged cell sends out alarm signals, releasing a cocktail of inflammatory chemicals. These chemicals scream for help, calling in more immune cells, creating a massive inflammatory response. Normally, inflammation is good. It helps you heal. But the constant presence of soot creates a chronic, non-stop inflammation that is the very foundation of COPD. And here's the most sinister part. It creates a vicious, self-perpetuating cycle. Eventually, the macrophage, overloaded with toxic soot, dies. When it dies, it releases all that soot back into your lung, where a new, healthy macrophage comes along, engulfs it, and the entire destructive cycle starts all over again. This relentless state of inflammation gradually and literally dissolves your lung tissue. This sustained cellular war leads directly to the symptoms that define COPD. The constant inflammation breaks down the delicate walls of the alveoli, causing them to merge into large, useless pockets. This is emphysema, and it drastically reduces your lungs' ability to absorb oxygen, causing shortness of breath. At the same time, the inflammation causes your airways to swell and overproduce mucus. This leads to the persistent cough that defines chronic bronchitis, the other half of COPD. The evidence is now overwhelming. A major 2023 report concluded that up to 50% of the total risk for developing COPD might be related to air pollution. And the damage doesn't stop at the lungs. This intense, chronic inflammation can spill over into your bloodstream, increasing the risk of heart attacks and strokes. While this all sounds incredibly alarming, understanding the science gives us power. It shows us a clear path for prevention. On a large scale, we need better public policies to cut emissions. But as individuals, there are steps you can take right now. First, stay informed. Check your local air quality index and limit heavy outdoor exercise on bad air days. Second, consider using high-efficiency HEPA filters in your home. Studies show they can genuinely reduce symptoms for people with lung conditions. Third, if you have to be out in heavily polluted air, a well-fitting N95 mask can provide a powerful barrier. And finally, the most critical step is to not smoke and to avoid secondhand smoke at all costs. The battle against COPD is fought everywhere, from global policy down to the microscopic level of our own cells. Understanding the destructive journey of soot from the air into our bodies isn't just a fun fact. It's knowledge that can help us protect our health and work towards a future where we can all breathe a little easier. Thanks for tuning in to G Fun Facts Online.